How's it going today, guys? Welcome back to the channel. So I am here with a friend of mine, Vitaly. So you guys probably are familiar with him. He's the guy who helped me out with my couch lawsuit on Craigslist with that person who was trying to scam me out of my deposit. But Vitaly is also a real estate investor, and he was telling me about this property that he purchased, and I said, I gotta get you to talk to me about this on video, because effectively they were able to buy a property worth $1 million with $0 of their own money. So Vitaly also has a YouTube channel he's starting up talking about real estate investing, and I'll have a card for that as well, and I'll link up to it in the description below. Lots of great resources for, you know, investing in real estate for beginners. And you also are a full-time attorney as well, right?
That's right.
Yeah, so if you want to talk a little bit about that, for sure.
Yeah, absolutely, guys. So I'm really excited to be here on the channel with Ryan. One of the things is I'm a huge fan of him, kind of been following him for a while. Part of the reason I'm on YouTube at all is really because of him. You know, he and I met together a few months ago, kind of went over things, and I got started with it. But I am a full-time attorney. I don't do couch lawsuits very much. That's pretty much just because I was trying to help him out. Yeah. So.
Do you think we could get a quick look at the property now, and then we can talk about the numbers?
Absolutely, yeah.
All right.
Let's take a look.
Let's go ahead. So this is a 10-unit property, it looks like?
Yeah, it's a 10-unit. We bought it probably about 2 or 3 months ago. We bought it off market, so it's not anything that was on the MLS or anything like that. It was kind of a personal connection between one of our investors and us, and we were able to buy it for $375,000.
Okay.
Which is a huge discount from what it is, what it's actually worth. And we've been doing a remodel on it, pretty light remodel at this point, and we're upping the rent significantly, and we're renting it out to new tenants now. Okay,
so are most of your tenants sticking around, or are a lot of people moving, or you're not sure yet?
I think we're probably going to cycle them out. So the idea is to kind of go slowly, because you still want to be able to make cash flow from the property while you're doing that. But you know, you don't want to do it too quickly. The building had 3 units that were vacant from the beginning. So when we bought it, 3 out of the 10 were vacant. So we kind of went right in and did a remodel with those. That took a couple of months. And now we're re-renting those, and we kind of gave notice to a couple of the other tenants that you know, their lease is up.
Yeah. So is the unit we're seeing now one that's been remodeled?
Yes, this is a remodeled unit. Yeah.
Sounds
so we
good.
can take a look.
Let's check it out.
It might be a little dark in here to see, but it's basically a 3-bedroom, 1-bathroom unit, and it was previously renting for about $550 according to the prior owner, and we're able to re-rent it for $1,100.
So just by doing the basic remodel, which is what, carpet, flooring, paint?
Yeah, so all we did here was basically replace the carpets, did some painting, we added a little bit more in the kitchen, we put in a granite countertop, we replaced the faucet and the sink and all those things. But other than that, it was very much a light remodel, and pretty easy rehab for us.
So what was your remodel cost on this apartment here?
Yeah, so actually you're gonna think this is crazy, but we did the whole thing probably for about under $5,000.
Wow.
For the whole apartment. And part of that is because my business partner is really good with contractors. He's, that's kind of his side of the business. As you guys know, as I said, I'm an attorney, so I do a lot of the contracts, all the leases, the financing on the building. We kind of work all that stuff out. He takes care of the property management side of things and the contracting side of things. So he's got guys he can, gets for cheap because they're working for him full time. So it was pretty cheap remodel for us.
So basically, for a $5,000 investment, you doubled the rent from $550 to $1,100.
Yep.
So that's like a less than 10-month payback on your investment,
That's right? Exactly right. And the best part that we're going to get into in a little bit is that this didn't even come from our pockets. Nothing that we did in this building had come from my pocket or my business partner's pocket. It's basically private investors that have financed the entire thing for us.
Man, I can't wait to hear about it.
So the bedrooms are pretty big, and actually this used to be a living room. We actually turned it into an extra bedroom in here, one of 3 bedrooms in here. And I think someone who moves in is going to like the space in here.
So is by making this a bedroom, you can now charge more rent-wise?
Absolutely.
Oh, so it goes from a 2-bedroom to a 3-bedroom.
Yeah. So actually, right. So the bedrooms in the building are, every first floor apartment was 2 bedrooms, and every second floor apartment is already 3 bedrooms.
Okay.
So we didn't need to really do anything upstairs to the bedrooms in order to make the apartments bigger. But here, living space bigger. But here you kind of had this huge open area that, wasn't particularly utilized very well. So we kind of are improving the space in order to charge more rent.
Did you put in any walls, or how did
we did? Yeah, actually, so this wall right here, this entire wall is new.
Okay.
With the door.
So before this would have been wide open.
Correct.
And this was kind of the living room, but now by putting in that wall, it becomes
kind of like a big bedroom.
Yeah,
like
okay.
a parent's bedroom maybe.
So then this middle area becomes your living room.
Right, exactly.
Okay, makes sense, yeah.
And then we have 2 other bedrooms. You got one here.
Okay.
And you got one down the hall. They're smaller.
Yeah,
They're
this
kind
is
of more
smaller.
like kids
Oh, that's
bedrooms.
nice that this has a window too, though. That's got
right. And
window
it's
to the outside.
It's a little different there because it's kind of like you have this open space, this well or whatever, in the building where you have other apartments. Yeah. So I mean, people probably have to put shades down or blinds or whatever.
What was the point? Why did they do this? Do you have any idea?
I don't know, but this building was designed as a 10-unit originally.
Yeah.
And that's how they designed it. I think part of it is that where we are, the town actually requires every bedroom to have a window. I think that's one of the main requirements to make it a bedroom.
So this may have just been something they had to do for code?
Yeah.
Is that also a window to something?
That is also a window. Yep, that's a window. It goes to the back. There's a back entrance there.
Okay.
So there's a window, kind of like a picture window going out there.
And then that's the back entrance for the apartments?
Yeah. So another thing by code, at least in New York here, you're required to have 2 exits to every unit. So every apartment has to have a front entrance and a back entrance.
Okay.
Sometimes they're grandfathered in, and that doesn't have to happen. But a lot of times you will have to, have that as a requirement, which is why they built that.
Gotcha.
That way.
And then the last spot would be the kitchen.
Yes.
All right, let's check it out. This is the kitchen.
This is the kitchen. Yeah.
Did you end up putting in the? This is new, I'm sure.
Yes. So the appliances are new. We have a new granite countertop in here, and we have the sink. We got a nice little pull down for the sink that the tenants can use. So just a nice little touch.
Yeah.
This isn't a Class A area, and it's not necessarily a Class A property. So we're talking about, middle of the road, kind of middle income, working folks that are going to be renting, these apartments. But because they're 3 bedrooms, a family of 4 can live here, and they can afford the $1,100 in rent that we're looking to charge.
Did you guys put in new cabinets or just paint them?
These are pretty much existing cabinets that were here before. We painted them, new hardware.
It's amazing how much of a difference that, like, this is probably what, $20 worth of paint?
Yes.
And maybe $20 worth of hardware.
That's right, yeah.
And it completely changes the look from like the old wood.
Absolutely. Absolutely.
Really easy fix there. Yeah.
For sure.
All right, so now I think everybody's dying to understand, even myself included, how is it that you go about buying this property without using your own money?
Right.
Right.
Yeah, so I guess the first thing I want to say is you see a lot of guys, even on YouTube, we're talking about sort of the buy, rent, or buy, rehab, rent,
the BRRR model,
the BRRR model, right? And, and some of them talk about, you have to save up for a down payment. For non-owner occupied loans, most of the time the down payment is 20%. So you may save, you may take a couple of years to save $50,000 to buy a property, and then you do that, you put the money in, the money sort of sits in the property, it's stuck, and you can't do anything else until you recoup, until you build that down payment up again. We're able to shortcut that whole process, and by the way, if you do that, that takes you years to get to a point where you can have a portfolio. You might buy one property.
Yeah, because you'd be buying a property. I mean, for most people, you'd be having to save up for that 20 to 25% down. That would take you like 3 to 4 years.
Exactly.
So it would take you ages.
Right.
Yeah.
Yeah. So it would take you, it would take you 3 years to buy one property. Then you might accelerate it a little bit because hopefully you're making a profit from that first property you bought. So maybe you're saving a little bit quicker, but then maybe it's still taking another 2.5 years to save the next down payment. And so you're only buying one property every 3 years for the first, 10 years. We are able to shortcut that because we work with a bunch of private investors. These are folks who have some money, and they're not necessarily, hedge fund brokers or anything like that. Some of them are average people who maybe are closer to retirement, or maybe they're in retirement, and they have nice, decent chunks of change that they can invest, and they're looking to place their money somewhere. We offer them a good rate of return. Pretty high interest, pretty good returning profits for them, and basically it's an interest-only loan that we get from these folks, and for a period of 2-3 years typically, and we pay them monthly, and we use their money to buy properties like this where we know that we're going in with a ton of equity, so it's a safe play for us. We buy the property using their money, we use their money to do the rehab, and once we're done rehabbing, we go to a commercial lender and we refinance it at 80%. So instead of us putting 20% down, we're putting zero money down, and we're using their money to do the deal, refinance, pull their money back out, still have a cash flowing property for us, and then able to use their money on the next deal within a month or two.
Gotcha. So I know you're in and out of real estate on a daily basis.
Yeah.
If there's, let's try, maybe we can explain it in a slightly simpler way just for people, because I know, like, even myself, understanding this concept of rehabbing and refinancing and pulling your money out, that just was a crazy concept for me. But so you bought this for $375, right? And you said it's worth, after it's all been rehabbed, about $1 million.
Yeah.
So can you explain the refinancing aspect and how you pull your money out of it and how that works?
Sure. So the refinancing process, you go to a bank. You say, I own a property. My property I think is worth X number of dollars. You say to the bank, I don't have a loan on it, or I have a loan on it, and I want to get money. I want you to refinance, put your loan on it. So the bank is putting their loan, their money into the deal and repaying you or repaying a lender if the lender is going to be cashing out. And they will use an appraiser. The appraiser will come in and they will appraise the property, confirm that it's worth what you're saying that it's worth, and they will give you a percentage of what it's worth as a loan, and they give you that much money at the end of the process.
Gotcha. Okay, so that makes sense. So basically, that is a way to free up your money so it's not stuck in the property.
Exactly.
Because like you said, if you're doing 20 or 25% down, that equity in that property is essentially just kind of dead money that you can't use for something else.
Right. And to be fair, you could still do the BRRRR method, putting your own money into it. It's just you still have to find a property that is undervalued, meaning you bought it for less than what it's actually worth. And then you can still use your own money, and you go in there, you could still go to a bank and do the refinance process. It's just, it frees you up so much more when you have other people's money, the OPM, working for you, doing those deals. You can do them much quicker and less risky for you in the sense that you're not leaving money in the deal most of the time. It's not your money.
Gotcha, yeah. So just to walk through the whole process again, you find outside investors who give you basically a loan.
Right.
So they're not equity owners in the property. They are just basically your debt. So you owe them money and you're paying them monthly interest.
Yep.
So rather than going to a bank for a loan, you just go to private lenders because you're getting more attractive rates.
That's right.
And then once you actually do the rehab and the refinance, and they pay for that rehab, you pay them back after 2 or 3 years or whenever you're done with their money. And then you effectively own a cash flow producing piece of real estate that you didn't put any of your money into.
That's right.
Okay.
That's the concept in a nutshell. The one correction I would say is the interest rates that we pay them are actually higher than anything that they would get anywhere else, pretty much.
Oh, okay, because it's got to be appealing for them.
It's got to be appealing for them, right? Because most of the time they have a I don't know if this is going to be too technical for folks or not, but I think people are if you're in the real estate game, you will know what this is. But basically, you are getting a mortgage interest in the property as a lender. So if something were to happen, goes into foreclosure or somebody wasn't going to pay you, you'll get paid if you have that recorded interest in the property as the lender for the property. So you're mortgaging, you're essentially acting as the bank. If you're the lender, you're essentially acting as the bank for the investor. So
once your investors once your loan is paid back to your investors, or let's assume the cash is no longer tied up in this property, what does your numbers look like on this property? So like what are you expecting your monthly cash flow to be once they're all appropriately rented and renovated?
With this property, because it's 10 units, we're going to be renting them for $1,100 per unit per month. We're looking at, after all the expenses, debt service, taxes, insurance, and repairs, maintenance, and capital expenditures, all those things together, my business partner and I are estimating we're going to get about between $2,000 to $3,000 per month each from this one property.
Wow, and that's your cash flow.
That's our cash flow. That goes right into our pockets at that point in perpetuity. And we're building equity in the building as well, because
and $1 million asset that's still growing in value. That's unbelievable.
I mean, I'm excited about this, guys. I've been doing this now for a couple of years, this particular strategy. I didn't start with that, but it's something you end up kind of eventually getting to most of the time. If you are in the real estate game for enough years, you kind of end up graduating to this, and this is what most good real estate investors do.
And I know a lot of people are probably thinking, oh, it's not technically no money because it's somebody else's money, and obviously not everybody, like, I mean, if you got a 20-year-old, like, I wouldn't have as good of a success rate with going out and getting private money because I don't have the experience you have. But it is good to have this as, like, the long-term goal.
Right.
And, like, understanding you don't have to just sit there. Because I was also under the impression that to grow with real estate, you just had to keep building up your own money, getting 20 to 25% down, then saving up for a couple of years. And then maybe as you have cash flow producing properties, it's slightly less time involved, but it was still, like you said, would take you a decade to get your first 2 or 3 properties for most people.
Yeah. For me, so I started out with a duplex. You might see it in some of my videos if you go check out my channel. My first property was a duplex where I was renting one of the apartments. I was renting one of the apartments. I was living in the other apartment. And that was my starting point. And I did that with the standard, regular financing, went to a bank. The next property or 2 or 3 that I bought were also the same way. So, you have to start small, you have to start slow, but you should know that there are other ways that you can really scale this up. Once you build up the experience, the connection, the knowledge, all those things. So if you're willing to dedicate yourself to the process in real estate, if you're interested in doing that, the sky's really the limit. You can definitely make really serious money doing it.
Wow, that's phenomenal. Well, I think that pretty much wraps up this video, guys. Like I said, Vitali's got his YouTube channel. He's just got up and running here. Besides that, where would people go if they're looking to learn more about you? I know you have a blog going as well.
Yeah, so I have a blog. It's succeedrei.com. You can also find me on my law firm's website. It's www.woh.com. Whiteman Osterman Hanna is the law firm, and that's pretty much it for me.
All right, sounds good. Well, thanks so much for coming on, man. I appreciate it, and thanks for helping me with the Craigslist scammer there.
You got it.
And definitely, guys, check out Vitali's channel. He's providing a ton of awesome content there. One of my favorite videos you've done recently was a full analysis on house hacking, which is basically how you started.
Exactly.
That's what I'm doing too, house hacking. So he did a whole video analyzing different potential house hack properties. So if that's a strategy that interests you guys for getting your foot into real estate, I would highly recommend that video. But thanks so much for watching, guys, and I hope to see you in the next video.